these people that modify their body, let me explain this. They have no respect for themselves. I think we have this video of this guy with where he made an artificial mouth in his lower lip or something like that. Savannah, do we have the clip with that? Okay, so like this is TikTok. I'm sorry for this, but like this individual here is tattooed neck down. You always notice people that are body modified tend to dwell towards the darkness, satanic realm. They tend to be obsessed with skulls.
Spiritually ill.
Right, and not everyone who likes death in these and horror movies is demonic, but the scene is tied with coffins and death, and which is interesting. And this guy has, created a hole. I'm sure there was a spacer in there to some extent. These are the activists. This is the phenotype, as you mentioned, of the people who have advocated for this.
He looks like the Zoomer meme. I mean, I honestly can't tell if it's a male or a female there because
well, you wouldn't know.
They're all androgynous. They're all high estrogen and low testosterone, regardless of
and extra
they were
lips.
granted by God.
The greatest disservice that our parents ever did to us was telling us, "Don't judge a book by its cover." You mean don't trust my amygdala, the instincts that have evolved over generations to let me know when something is not right? If I look at that, I'm inclined to judge the book by its cover. I'm not going to make a moral declaration. I'm not going to say you're a bad person. I will keep my children away from you. But
John, you see, that's wrong because tribalism and prejudice and xenophobia, and I'm going to keep throwing these words at you until one of them sticks and you feel bad enough to change your mind and agree with me.
Don't be tribal in any aspect of your life other than the sports ball.
Yeah,
you can
my God.
If it's the Cowboys versus the Lions, then you can say, hey, we don't like those guys.
Oh yeah, you can get excited if it's sports ball man A that used to play for the other team last year that's now playing for your team. So now it's a big deal. Now you're super excited.
And this is what I want to explain to the audience. Also to our blind viewers, those of you that listen, just remember, please, if you watch the show regularly, you hear me all the time asking you to go to Apple Podcasts, to Spotify, to leave a 5-star review because it helps us out a lot. It's free, and you might get your review read at the end. We always read new reviews at the end, and honestly, it's just so helpful, and it keeps us on the air as we're demonetized everywhere. This keeps advertisers coming in, and we appreciate your support. And also, people leave us they troll us there, so it helps us when they balance it out with good reviews. And also, there's no excuse because it takes just a couple of moments, and we love it. But as we get into this, like the idea of this is, though, as you say, well, how did we start getting to the point to where we went after kids? It was when we no longer. This is what I would say. We had a society where people that were violated or harmed as children grew up in a society where they no longer had standards or adults to look up to in order to become what God intended them to undo the trauma, to heal from that. And now in their search to undo the trauma and to heal themselves, they've begun to experiment on themselves. And over years and years of society normalizing self-experimentation through body modification, through made-up sexualities.
I mean, self-mutilation is what it is. Yeah.
But even the psychological psychosis of these things, I'm going to play a video. We've gotten to the point where we're in a place of make-believe that the only people that are still left are those that are holistic, that are innocent, which are the kids. And I want you to go to video 7, and I want to show you why they need to go to kids today. It's because the utter state of humanity, of adults, is too confusing that the only thing that still makes sense is something that's innocent, and that's why they prey on them. Let's play video 7.
Lastly, we have cupiosexual. Cupiosexual people are asexual people who still desire a sexual relationship but don't experience sexual attraction. Cupiosexual people may decide to have a sexual relationship despite not feeling sexual attraction while others don't. Both are completely valid and communication is key. Hope I could help. Check out my hashtag VampireKidExplains for more.
Okay, so
Oh, sorry. That just made me physically sick.
Isn't she that girl, what's her name? Harley Quinn?
Blake, I think I could save her.
No, John, you can't look at the vampire, John. You can't save her.
You can't save her? No, that's Harley Quinn. She was in a recent movie, I think.
Hey, don't diss Harley Quinn. But whatever that Krishora is, she needs to crawl back into whatever swamp she crawled out of.
Right, but copiosexual, I mean, but the point is that we've gotten to this purpose. You guys heard about how they they started describing demisexual. There's this phrase. I actually had someone over here that was like, oh, I'm demisexual. And I was like, I didn't know what that meant. So I knew about this. I looked it up. And apparently there's this new description of means that you're in a relationship and only when you're in a relationship and emotionally attracted to a person do you have sex with them, which would be considered just Christian girls, I guess. So it's like, that's basically most women don't like sex unless they're physically and emotionally attracted to the person. So they begin to describe and make up words for just normal expression, meaning it's gotten so confusing at the adult level that it's so absolutely metaphorically and physiologically, psychologically abusive and self-destructive that it's left them no other victims than to go after the last ones who are holding on to it, which is our kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're so narcissistic that they have to literally come up with basically flashcard terms to describe things that we already know exist. And this is all of academia. This is all of like left-wing intellectualism. Like, for example, you've got these white women who go get psychology degrees, and then you go out for coffee with them and they're like, do you know how if you have an umbrella, you might think to yourself that you can only use it to repel rain? That's called functional fixedness. It's a psychological concept. And it's like, you're so smart. Wow. You're so cool and interesting. And the same thing with like demisexual. Like, oh, sometimes people only like to have sex with people who they feel an emotional connection to. Oh, that's called demisexual?
It's gotten
Wow.
so confusing that it's just come full circle for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I mean,
I read this thing once and it was like atypic sexual, and it was like, this is when people are sometimes asexual, which means sometimes they're in the mood to have sex and sometimes they're not. And I went, you mean married people?
Yeah.
Like,
or what is
what?
it? Sapiosexual, when you're attracted to intelligence. It's like, oh, you mean like the second or third greatest thing that women are attracted to, like
Yeah.
men. It's like status, intelligence. It's just like,
Dude, but I mean, like, that's the point, is like, they're just so lost and they're so confused, and that the kids are so simple. And they're so simple. It's like, you can just ask a kid that's not indoctrinated, like, do you like this? And they're going to say, yuck, it's gross. Or, it's the best thing I ever had in my life. Or like, do you like her? And it's like, no, I hate her. Or, she's my best friend. Life is simple. So they have to come in and desecrate the last thing that God has set aside, which is a child's innocence. They can't, they're demonic, they're satanic, and they're just craving. It's like destroying everything good. Our society, life, truth, morality, religion, everything that's sacred and good. They want to stick their hands in either physically or
because
not
they
physically.
envy it almost.
Exactly.
Like that innocence was robbed from them for whatever reason, and they almost envy that, and they want to corrupt it because they themselves were corrupted at such a young age. It's very tragic, but that tends to be the case. And you think about how these types of people reproduce. They don't get married, they don't have sex, they don't create new human beings that way. How do homosexuals reproduce?
In vitro, lesbians, I think fertilize in like.
Have we found the gay gene?
No, that doesn't.
I don't
that's
think
not my
we
point.
have.
It doesn't
Yeah.
exist. It
I
doesn't
don't
exist.
thi- It doesn't
lesbians
exist.
do
That's the point.
implant, and they do like.
I don't
in
mean.
vitro.
I don't mean literally. I mean how.
I mean, the scientist
how
in me, I'm
do
like, in
they-
Think about
vitro.
it. How do homosexuals create new homosexuals?
They don't. Straight people create homosexuals.
No. Homosexuals create new homosexuals when they rob a child of their innocence.
They inflict that same. It's
Oh.
what
Inflict
Milo
that
Yiannopoulos
damage
talked
onto a
about.
I
kid.
think what you're
Yeah.
saying. I
Yes.
thought you meant like physically reproduce.
No, I didn't want to straight come out and say it, but it's true. It's like you look at like what Milo Yiannopoulos was talking about. I think you even told me the average age at which these relationships start is like 14 or something.
Yeah, it's like if you look at actually, it's not that all gay people are child molesters, but there is a significant amount of child molesters who are gay. I think it's like 70% of men. And also, which is sad too, is that like a lot of people who are child molesters were molested themselves, even if they don't identify as being gay or something like that. That there is this crime against innocence that I believe the Bible calls like a generational curse, right? Which is why when the Israelites, when the Jews went in and when they were like they went in and they were wiping out the Jebusites, the Amorites and stuff, people bring up this idea of like, why did it say to leave nothing alive? Not only because I believe that because of the sexual promiscuity, there was a pestilence and disease like STDs that had developed, as we see with how HIV ravaged the African continent, the gay community, etc. Pestilence does develop, either man-made, I don't know, recently, or also maybe unnatural. I mean, naturally as well. Is that with kids tend to carry the curse and the damage that the parents inflict on them. And a lot of what adults do is based off the trauma that they received as a child. And I'm not advocating genocide or even like trying to justify or even understand exactly all the biblical mandates. But what I do understand is that it is pretty much understood that being violated as a kid has a large chance of developing itself and showing itself true once you're an adult through sexual means. So if you're violated sexually, you're less likely not only sexually to violate people's boundaries, but not so like a lot of people that were molested, because I want to take this back because a lot of people are. A a lot of people who are molested may not go out to molest, but they've been known to be, they can not follow boundaries in relationships. They can be obese, not know what boundaries with food. They can have issues with addictions because they don't understand boundaries with self-control. I mean, what happens when you violate a kid at a young age sexually causes so much damage in so many areas. It's not just in the sexual term. That's ultimately why they want to prey on kids, because it's not just them, it's the devil. He wants to rob people, because the easiest way you can get someone to fall or move astray, and I'm from LA, I know a lot of people are violated and screwed up there. A lot of people have been damaged and they're hurt and they're raped and there's issues. And that's why they want to bring you into cities. They want to get you away from the family. They want to get you off the farm. They want to get you into these metropolitan places.
And they want to celebrate it.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk down, I mean, I was in San Francisco like 4 or 5 years ago for Pride. Not for Pride, but there was a connecting flight, and my mom thought it would be a great idea to take me and my little sister, who's 4 years younger at the time, just to walk down Main Street. And I can't describe, because this is going on YouTube, I can't describe what we saw, but I wish I could scrub it from my memory.
They can watch my Pride videos, which one of them's already been removed off of YouTube because it was considered adult content, even though we blurred stuff. But
there was even a debate recently on Twitter, should kink be included in Pride? And there were people like publishing op-eds in legitimate publications, saying that like, no, kink is like a fundamental part of Pride. You know, kids need to be exposed to this because they need to see like what this is actually about and everything. And it's like, we are actually at a point where we are defending this. And I say this often, but for the people who maybe aren't as religiously inclined, like Elijah was talking about, there is no variable that we've discovered that has a greater negative impact on a child's life or a human being's life than premature sexualization or abuse, whether it's problems in future relationships, including marriage, likelihood of drug and substance abuse. Like literally every metric by which you would measure a person's prosperity gets worse if that happens to them. And so for those who might not be as religiously inclined, I would say this, that a person who is mentally damaged is literally more inclined to support left-wing politics and authoritarian politics, because, and I say this all the time, which people think I'm saying is kind of like a boomer insult, but like leftism properly defined is just mass mobilized mental illness. Like you see with all their mugshots, the Antifa people, they all look spiritually ill because that's what it is. They're insecure. They don't have self-confidence. And you measure that scientifically and you see that people who are insecure, they don't have self-confidence. They're much more likely to support leftism versus people who are confident. They have higher testosterone even. They're more likely to support right-wing politics. And it's like, if you can actually alter the endocrine systems of a population and make them spiritually ill, you can get them to support that nanny state, just like begging for some semblance of meaning and purpose in their lives that you have structured such that they are so miserable. And that's, I think, unprecedented in the history of humankind, just because we haven't had the technology or necessary infrastructure to do that. But that's exactly what's happening now. And so that's why they're targeting kids. Hey, let's see if we can make them as depressed as possible at such an early age that then, because when you're in that state, you will then sympathize with these victim narratives. That's why you see all these liberals. Right. I relate to the plight of the African American because I'm depressed, even though I'm white and I live in the suburbs. It's like,
because I'm demisexual. Yeah. And like, but that also happened in Greek with a Greek. There was a Greek conqueror, I believe it was, who, when he would conquer a city, the way that he would keep them subdued is he would make all the strong men grow out their hair, and he would make them wear female clothing and makeup and stuff. And over time, they would end up losing their ability to fight back. Their testosterone would drop, etc. Before they even knew the science, it was a basic understanding of like, if you weaken the men, if you weaken people, you weaken society.
A great philosopher once said that you can be 2 out of 3 things: liberal, smart, or honest, but you can't be all 3. At Slightly Offensive, we're smart and honest. And if you like this clip, head over to Slightly Offensive YouTube channel by clicking right here, where you can find new episodes of our show weekly. We're bringing you the topics, news stories, and angles that will have you saying, why the hell wasn't I subscribed sooner? Also, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel too.